what it was. And John Maynard Keynes actually praised his reasoning, which is pretty unusual for Keynes to praise anybody but himself. But he praised it as mathematically sound, except with one major caveat, which I'm not going to talk about today, but that's going to be in my book that I'm writing called Sacred Economics. But basically, the first time it was used, you had this money, and every month you had to affix a stamp to it. So say it was a $100 bill, you had to fix a $1 stamp on it every month that you had to buy from the issuer of the currency. And if you didn't do it, your $100 bill was only worth $99, and by the end of the year, it was only worth $88. So you're going to want to use this money right away. You're not going to want to hoard it. You're not going to want to accumulate it. The end result is that the money circulates very quickly, because and wealth becomes no longer a matter of having, but a matter of giving. It's just like loaves of bread. If I have more than I can use right now, yeah, you want a loaf of bread? Sure. Whenever you have some of your own, you can give it back to me, but no hurry. Money would be the same way. I've got a lot of money right now, I'm not using it all. I don't need it. So, hey, you need $100? Okay. Yeah, I trust you, whenever you want to give it back. Money becomes no different from anything else in the universe because it decays over time. You don't want to hold on to it. And so wealth becomes a matter of how many connections you have, how much flows through you. In other words, how generous you are. It recreates a potlatch society where the richest man is the one who gives the most, not the one who has the most. So I think that this feature is very useful in creating a local currency. A lot of the local currencies, they kind of stall. They stall out. People, there's a couple of different ways it happens, but people accumulate them, and they don't want to really spend them. And if they stop spending them, if they somehow, drift out of the system, then you don't have enough money anymore. There's, in Paul Krugman's book, there's an example of a babysitting co-op. Paul Krugman's an economist who's gone about maybe 2 or 3/10 of the way to this conclusion. As basically Obama's going to be trying increasingly radical solutions, and as each one doesn't work, hopefully, unless we end up with a fascist dictatorship, hopefully he'll move closer and closer toward these conclusions, and will be forced to as the money system collapses. And all of these things you're hearing about now that are very marginal today, when other money disappears, when we have hyperinflation, or when we have massive bankruptcies, bank runs, and the currency and money just disappears, then people are going to really start using these new currencies. But anyway, so in this babysitting co-op, a bunch of families in suburban Washington, D.C., they wanted to, be able to go out on dates, while their friends took care of the kids or something. And so they organized a big co-op with several hundred families, and they printed money, good for one evening of babysitting. And it worked all right for a while, but pretty soon, the people who had a few of them hoarded them because they were waiting, for a chance when they really wanted to use it, so they kind of hoarded them. And the people who didn't have them, they were eager to offer babysitting services, but the people who had the money didn't want to offer it. And so the solution that they came up with was that they issued more of these coupons. They increased the money supply, which is essentially what the government is trying to do right now, increase the money supply. Well, in this mini example, it worked, but there was a much better solution. Because if they increase the money supply, it doesn't necessarily work. What could end up happening is people could say, well, you have to give me 2 evenings coupons, right? You can have inflation. But a much easier solution would have been to put an expiration date on it. Put an expiration date on them, and people are going to use them. Okay? And what this negative interest rate, which is called demurrage, it's essentially a time limit on it. It keeps the money flowing. It prevents accumulation. It prevents the discounting of future cash flows. For example, because money grows over time, it's more to if I say own a forest, it's it's more to my advantage to chop it down for $1 million than to sustainably log it for $10,000 a year in perpetuity. I might as well cut it down right now, take that $1 million, put it in the bank, and get $50,000 a year. By the same, and unless I'm a really nice guy and go against my economic self-interest, that's what I'm going to do. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh boy. All right. Well, writ large, this is what we're doing to the planet. We're cashing it in. If we have a kind of money that depreciates over time, deteriorates over time rather than growing over time, then it creates the opposite dynamic. And we do not discount the future in favor of the present, so the money is sustainable. It's cyclical because the devaluation in the currency, that gets fed back to the issuer so it can be recycled. And there's all kinds of other details. So I guess since I have such a short amount of time, I'm just putting that out there, and I want to end by pointing out that the mentality of such money is so different from what we know today, because that kind of money is fundamentally abundant, because it floats, because you don't want to hold on to it. So it's common, it has a mentality of abundance and a mentality of the gift, too, a mentality of generosity. If we want, and I think that this is something to seriously consider if you're starting a local currency, to use a demurrage system. You could do it electronically, you could do it with stamps or something like that. Eventually what we'll have, and it can be a commodity-backed currency because commodities themselves have a carrying cost. You have to take care of them, you know. They deteriorate because they're part of the world, not this abstract realm of the spirit of money, which is an abstraction. Okay? It's real stuff. Eventually we will have a global currency that is backed by local currencies, which is backed by baskets of commodities. That's what my work is right now, to design such a currency so that it doesn't have to be imposed by the government from on top, but it grows out of all of the currencies that people are starting right now. You're going to be, if you start a currency like this, you're going to be one of the founders of a new global currency. So that's the macro level. Then the community level, they've talked about. The micro level is yourself to begin this change in thinking from how can I get enough to how can I best give of my gifts. Because that is the mentality that will make you rich in the future. Thank you.